This show is brought to you by Go Live TV. Download the app now.
Welcome. Joe Volpe, publisher of Corriere Canadese, North America's only Italian language daily newspaper. I'm here today on a special type of an occasion. I've got with me in our studios two guests, one in particular that many of you may already recognize, and I speak of none other than Ken Cancellara, famous, noted lawyer, but now turned author, producer, movie maker. We're going to talk to him about his story in a minute. And we're also going to talk to his director, who is Sean Cisterna. Okay? So, Ken, let's start right off the bat. Now, you and I have known each other for quite some time. And we talked about In Cerca di Marco, book number 1. Book number 2, which is Finding Marco, the English translation. And it's actually same as book number 1. But this one here, now my glasses aren't with me. Do you want to tell me what that one is?
Il sussurro lontano.
Well, that's
the distant whisper.
There you go. So that's the second one. And you've got another one coming up too, don't you?
It's all done. It's all baked. It's a question of just getting it out of the oven.
But this is something a little different. Now, everybody wants to know why we're having this conversation. But we're having it because you're debuting a movie. It's From the Vine. If we got that up there, oh, there it is. From the Vine.
Dalle vigne.
Dalle vigne. So here's a lawyer, downtown lawyer, as upper Canadian as you can get. What are we talking about, From the Vine?
Well, Joe, this is the issue that my closest friends in the legal profession, they can't believe that I can actually write a book that's semi-philosophical, romanticized, and introspective.
Because that's what happens if you're from Southern Italy. You're
from
Southern Italy, aren't you?
I am. I'm from Macerenza.
I mean, that's
Il Cuccolo. That's Macerenza there, and it's Macerenza on the In Cerca di Marco
right in
cover.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay, so there it is for anybody who want to see it again. There.
Ma come si dice, cresciuto e pasciuto in Canada. Quindi sono venuto da bambino. I came as a young lad, and all my education and my career have been in this land. This our adopted land here.
Like I said, you're as upper Canadian as you can get.
Yeah.
When did you come over?
I came over in 1957.
A long time ago.
So it's been a long time ago. It's over 60 years ago.
So some of the people are going to be watching this movie. They're going to be saying, 1957, that's prehistory, right?
It is. It's prehistoric ages.
But Acerenza is prehistoric. You want to tell me something about that?
Acerenza used to be the capital of Basilicata for 400 years, which explains the fortifications around the town to keep away the Longobards and the brigands who used to come and pillage. It is also the seat in Basilicata of religion. The archbishop still lives in Acerenza and has been living there for centuries.
And in some circles, it was known as La Città della
Città Cattedrale.
Okay, there you go. And I think that picture that we have there is one of the current face of that cathedral that was actually built on the ruins of a Roman temple.
Exactly right, and is the home of San Canio, which happens to be my Italian name, which is the patron saint of Acerenza. So it has a history that goes back to the Greeks, it goes back to the Romans, to the Greeks before them, and which has a tradition and culture that are absolutely stunning.
So, you didn't do this movie as a historical movie. You didn't want to educate Canadians about the value of culture and history in Basilicata, and more specifically about Acerenza. Why did you do this?
The movie came about as really as a final touch to a career that spanned a number of activities. And Joe, as we both know, because we're about the same age.
I'm younger.
A month or two.
I doubt it.
But when you have undergone a number of activities in your life, the funny thing is that you become actually closer to the roots that you've left behind.
So that's what In
that's what
Cerca
it's
di
about.
Marco is about.
In cerca di Marco is in cerca di se stesso. It's finding yourself. And for me, finding myself meant going back to where it all started.
Well, it's kind of it's an interesting scenario that people like you and me who came from here from many, many decades ago would actually discover who we are by going back to our roots. Terra chiamo padrone.
Yeah, it's really it's almost oxymoronic that that the more time goes by, the closer you get to ages ago. And for me, it was a question of going back to my hometown, meeting up with my old friends long since abandoned, remembering the stories that my philosopher Nonno used to tell me as a little boy, and putting all of that together to come up with a storyline that basically allowed me to find who I was and who I am now.
Was it easy? I mean, you're a writer. As a lawyer, you're accustomed to writing and being precise about words, etc. But did you find that the shift from legal language, precise language, you're also you're a courtroom lawyer as well, that to convey the impressions, the philosophy, the ideas, that history, that culture, did you find that a challenge?
It wasn't a challenge, Joe, because even before law school, my love was Italian literature and the Romantic era that started in Italy, as we all know. It started in Florence, and it brought the whole world with it to what we have today.
And I like to think that the Florentines learned it from the Neapolitans.
And I'd like to believe that the Neapolitans learned it from the Lucani.
Right. They had to pass through Foggia first.
Isn't that the beauty of Italy, though? That everyone is so proud of its little nest.
We all have our own parish that we pull forward.
That's exactly right. That's finding who you are, not just as a person, but as an identity representing a region.
But let me interrupt you for a second. Let's bring Sean in on this, because he's sitting there. Here's a guy. He was born here, I think. So he's a foreigner to this experience. But
he's a mangia cake, as we call it.
So, but Sean, what were the challenges for you as a director to translate this search for identity, this background of culture and history, to put it in a modern day movie?
Well, the great thing about Ken's novel is the fact that the protagonist is going through the same thing as the challenge that I was facing as a director. It's a North American leaving behind his city, his culture, and just picking up and rerouting into a foreign entity in Acerenza. So
yeah, but that would have been
was
surprising. I think we have a little bit of a clip there from the movie. The first reaction that your wife, I guess, or the person who plays your wife, would have said when you first, I'm going to go over to Italy and I'm going to do this. Have we got? Oh, here we go. Have you got the voice for that as well?
Italy! Oh my gosh, Mark! Oh my gosh! So, wow. What's the occasion?
Well, I needed to get out of here. I mean, not here, the Santias. I took a leave permanently.
You what?
No, but it's a good thing.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
No, this is a good thing. It's a good thing.
Here, I thought all of this was.
What?
For once, after us being distant for so long, you were actually trying to do something romantic.
I am.
So, Sean, is that your reaction as well?
You
Yeah.
To my wife, to telling her that I was leaving for
here you are. You're presented with a fait accompli. Ken comes to you and he says, I've got a book, I've got a script. I want to go and produce this. Did you have that kind of a reaction?
No, I was excited. I was very excited for the challenge. Obviously, I knew we were going to shoot in Italy, and there's all these rules about Canadians shooting with another country. So it was a beautiful synthesis of two countries coming together to make one project.
You have to get a lot of the local political and institutional figures in place.
Absolutely. It was a real challenge working in different languages in different our country with Acerenza on their time zone. It was a real challenge of logistics, and luckily we all
Ken's
came
going to feel
through.
offended, but they're in a different time zone there. They're completely
Very different.
And I think in another one of the clips that you have, it's a time zone of mentality and culture. When you first went over there, you said, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to revitalize. I'm sorry to use the alliteration, to revitalize my grandfather's vineyard. What was the reaction you got then?
The same reaction that people will see in the movie itself. It can't be done. It just cannot be done.
You've got a clip of that, right?
Ma siete scemi, non c'è lavoro qui. Quale lavoro?
Abbiamo mandato la vigna.
Ho mandato qui, che?
Ci hanno detto che riaprivate le vigne.
Ma chi me l'ha detto?
Quello angry, Marcello. Sì?
Sì.
Un passante.
Quale passante?
Lui.
Avvocato Marco, io ve l'ho detto. Di riaprire questa azienda, di ricoltivare tutto, non è una buona idea.
Why? My grandfather, he did it. What's the harm in trying?
Ma lascialo stare in pace la banana di tuo nonno. Lui vendeva il vino con l'asino.
Yeah, he's saying your grandfather used to sell vino with, how do you call that animal? How do you say?
So we'll get a donkey.
Oh, avvocato, lei può andare fallito. Cavoli tuoi, io me ne vado.
He's going home.
Go. Wait, I need him.
Yeah, just call him.
No, hey, Marcello.
Call him.
I don't know how to make wine.
Tony Nardi is a local dramatist here in Toronto.
Yes.
He's from Montreal, but he's a Toronto boy.
He's a Toronto boy, that's right. And in my opinion, he stole the show in a lot of ways in this movie. He was phenomenal.
Well, from the clips that I've seen,
Yeah.
I think people are going to enjoy his
They're going to enjoy his performance, right? But Joe, the incredible thing about doing this movie with Sean is that a lot of my concittadini, of my friends from Acerenza, it was an experience for them as well, because a lot of the traditions that we show in the movie have also been lost in the old country.
Yeah.
That's right. And so in a lot of ways, this was a resurgence, a revitalization of their own perspective on how things used to be 40, 50 years
So
earlier.
they went through your same journey of identity seeking.
Yeah, the only difference is that I had left and crossed the ocean and they didn't. But other than that, the emotions must have been exactly the same.
Well, they're crossing the oceans through your film.
They are.
You know, but so what else did you find there, Sean? I don't mean to keep you out of the discussion.
No, well, you know, we went over with a script, obviously, but we were open to change whatever
make some?
things would come up. Of course, yeah. So we were in a cantina one day, a barrel house where the wine was being made, and one of the old winemakers came in and said, no, if you want to really do it the way we used to do it, we put candles everywhere, and if the candles go out, that means there's too much CO2 in the air and you'll faint, so you need to air out the room. And it was just a simple technique of using science and candles and to ensure the safety of the winemakers. So it was all this interesting new techniques for making wine that we
But
came
did you
across.
also make adjustments to the identities that you were finding and rediscovering, and maybe at the did you make changes to the script that Ken initially put down?
As a director, I wanted to be very open, and I didn't want to bring my North American perspective and tell Italian people how to act and I really put my trust in the local actors to not take necessarily direction from me for their persona, just technical. Stand here, deliver your line your way, and everything will be as realistic as possible.
Tony Nardi, from the clips that we've seen so far, seems to have captured the philosophy and the psychology of the people local as well as the people that are local to us. Was there anybody else in the movie that did the same thing?
I would say he was the biggest change. I mean, his character was written as English, but he came about a week before, spent some time in the town, and realized nobody of his age spoke English well. So he said, I'm going to change my entire character. I'm only doing these lines in Italian, and this is the way it should be. And
it didn't bother you as the author?
It not only didn't bother me, I welcomed it.
It improved his performance, absolutely.
I wanted to mention something that became very interesting to me. We always had dinner at the same restaurant, Ristorante di Gala in Acerenza.
Food good?
Well, it's a great place. You gotta go. But the beauty of it, Joe, was that we were all there. All the actors were there. Pantoliano was there. Marco Leonardi was there. Nardi was there. They were all there. Lopresti was there. And so they talked, Wendy Crewson. And so they all talked amongst themselves. and you could see the changes that they were thinking about their own dialogue the next day. For me, it was something that was just sensational. You just sat there and just enjoyed the performance. It was amazing.
So all that Sean had to do is essentially do the appropriate editing so that everything flowed appropriately.
Set up the camera.
Did a couple of things.
Tell the actors where to go.
Now, tell us something about the guy who plays you.
Yeah. Well, Joe Pantoliano, of course, we all know who he is. He's the guy, he's Mr. Soprano, Matrix, Bad Boys 1, 2, and 3. He's just finished filming 3. He brought a different perspective of me to the movie. He wasn't as philosophical as I am by nature.
A little bit more cynical, I think.
A lot more cynical. But it's something that the movie needed, because there were the Marco Leonardi, the Tony Nardi, the Frank Lopresti, and others who actually filled that gap. So, and Wendy Crewson, of course.
She's the female lead.
She's the Emmy Award winner female who played Marina, my wife in the book, but Pantoliano's wife in the movie. Right.
Your wife, Anita, was happy at being portrayed that way?
I think she was. She loves Wendy Crewson, and Wendy Crewson loves her, so it worked out well.
So there's no jealousy?
I don't think so.
Okay, so tell me some more then about some of the intrigue that happened locally, where you had to get all of the officials and even the church officials. I mean, you've got some scenes in there. That cathedral is fabulous. We wanted to run some clips there, but I don't think it would have been appropriate, in part because it's a 360 dimensional issues. But the place is just mind-boggling.
Well, I had a meeting with the Archbishop, who called me to set up a meeting with me, because he wanted to make sure that nothing that we would be doing in the movie would in any way be considered to be, as he called it, un peccato,
sacrilegious.
A sin, sacrilegious. Yeah. So I had a long meeting with him and the mayor of Acerenza, Fernando Scattone, precisely to discuss this. So he wanted to know from me the storyline of the book, which I did. I also invited him to read it, which he did. And so he gave us permission in the end, Sean, that we could do whatever we wanted in the cathedral. He was so satisfied with the theme lines in the book that he offered the cathedral not only to do the scenes that had to do with the Mass in the cathedral, but we also did some flashback scenes in the cathedral, which is pretty unusual to get that kind of permission from an archbishop. So it all worked out well.
You had to get the same kind of permission, though, I think, from the authorities, the cultural authorities at Potenza and elsewhere. I think the Italian cultural institutes, or whatever they are,
that was a
pretty
little
demanding.
It was demanding, but it was a little easier because the Regione Basilicata, the regional government of Basilicata, actually is a partner in this movie.
Oh, okay.
So they, in fact, signed not only an agreement with us, but also their acknowledgement that they would be using the movie and the books as tools for Basilicata Lucano tourism and products like Aglianico del Vulture.
Before we close, we've only got a few more seconds. So this movie promises to be just like a fabulous movie, but you've been asked, without letting a cat out of the bag, you've been asked by various film festivals to debut in their locations. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, either you or Sean?
Just maybe I'll start off and Sean can add to it if he wishes, but the answer is yes, and we've accepted some of them. So we're going to be also debuting in Maratea with Regione Basilicata, Maratea being one of the most beautiful towns in the world, never mind the fact that it's in Basilicata. So we'll be
But it's not Acerenza.
It's not Acerenza. It's not on a mountain. It's by the sea, by the Tyrrhenian Sea. So you've got the high and the low. So on the 24th of July, we'll be there. We've also been asked to debut, and we'll be the anteprima, will be the highlight of that festival. We've also been asked to be an anteprima, a highlight of the Ischia Film Festival. Sean will be going to Rio de Janeiro later on in November to debut in South America. We've been asked a couple of other debut, which I can't talk about right now, but we're weighing the ability to do that given the time constraint. You know, they all come in the summer and fall, and so there's just so many.
And they each come with their various conditions. I mean, you can't just go ahead and say, I'm going to debut here
Exactly.
and do there. Some people say, no, come here and no place else.
Yeah, I'm a Lucano. I wrote the books not for money. I wrote them out of love. We did the film. Sure, we have some investors that have to be satisfied with the results financially. But my primary reason for doing the movie and writing the books was not monetary. So I wanted to do a couple of things. I wanted to make sure that our Italian community here in Toronto and in Ontario had a first crack at the movie.
And so, in fact, on Monday night, you're doing it through the Basilicata Society and the ICFF.
Exactly right. I also wanted the film to debut in Italy, in Basilicata. So it'll be debuting in Maratea. I also wanted the movie to be premiering in my hometown. I promised that as we were filming, and so it'll happen later on in September. Those were my three principal raison d'etre for doing this. The rest of it, Sean can worry about, and he can take this movie wherever he wants.
So he's going to be the director, promoter, distributor. He's going to do everything. So he's the guy from the second generation who's taking everything over beyond and handing it off to everybody else.
I think so.
No, that's good. So listen, I'm sorry, guys. I've got to stop right here. But, you know, Ken, this has been great. Thank you very much for sharing some of those experiences, the writing. Sean, equal success everywhere. I know you're going to have a stupendous night on Monday night. And for those of you who want to catch this and all of the clips that go on, go to our website, Corriere.ca, and you can see this over and over again. It should give you a good taste of From the Vine.
Joe, on behalf of Sean, myself, the entire cast and crew, I'd like to thank you, Corriere, the voice of our community, for hosting us for this interview. I really appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. I enjoyed it tremendously. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.